Levan, shall we start, do you think? Our meeting will be in English. We have interpreters. For that, we can choose or select the channels appropriately per our need.
Protection and Agriculture, Mr. Georgi Khanishvili, and he will make a short welcome speech, and then we will continue with our presentation. Batono Gela,
Mr. Gela, please, words. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Archel, I don't know strategically who chose, but it was a very good step on top of the meeting. From a dream to reality, just a small distance. That's a real proof. Each investor represented here with this emotion, with this passion, will take this job we've been doing that brought us here. And the scenario and script described here will be very soon be seen in reality. I'd like to welcome all potential investors, distinguished investors, and I'd like to assure them that the government of Georgia, per Georgian Environmental Protection and Agriculture Ministry, has been working for the fourth year. Each year has been filled with steps, targeted measures and objectives to present to our investors concrete, specific proposals that would be of interest for them and would be one of the first complex proposals for Georgia. The achievements that for Europe and many other regions of the world would be implemented in our country as well. Imereti Agro Zone is Georgian agriculture's development's new model. That is a space where simultaneously will be represented modern technology, know-how, logistics, channels of cargo regulated, so that the country and the world will have yet another new chance of produce and all the systems for delivery to the world markets. Probably many have thought it would be difficult to implement in Georgia because our country is not spoiled with such projects, but the situation truly is not hopeless. We have a number of large clusters, groups, which are active in agriculture and access world markets. Having this in mind, that Imereti Zone itself is a region where the greenhouses clusters can be developed with great success, with having in mind that government of Georgia is fully committed to produce real outcomes, and the government is trying to use all resources, spend those in order to ensure comfort for an investor, for a business, each individual interested in enterprise, and eventually switch to generation of income, revenue for the investor, and obviously bring benefits for the government. Obviously, this new project is unique. In its implementation, all government agencies are involved, and reliability, their attitudes, preparedness to implement this project are strong pillars for the investors to be ready invest in the country. We will try to propose to our investors complex solutions. We will try to solve rapidly, efficiently all infrastructural challenges that they will face in individual and separate cases. In this video showed what we are offering concretely. And this to make this project possible. I'd like each and everyone who brought this project to this day. I believe we've settled it correctly. The development part And I believe our investors will be convinced, on the one hand, in government's real decision to make this project possible, in the government's participation, which is an insurance that the government will be a consistent part of the project. And on the other hand, everything will be done to make sure that investors are safeguarded. Legislative frame in Georgia shows that our choice is Euro-Atlantic. We are aspirant nation to join EU in 2024. The Georgian government will submit a statement to become EU member. We would love to see the Imereti Agro Zone, one of the correct and successful projects which will be exemplary for our aspiration in the EU membership. We have unwavering support of the Georgian population, which would love to see the projects of this kind. In many areas, we are developing agriculture. I'm trying to be very brief, but again, I'd like to tell you, 2022, Georgia and the team that chose agriculture as a serious area for development. In this year, we've quadrupled the exportation volume, and this year will yet show best results. $100 million in 8-9 years in agriculture have been invested more than 4 billion lari. This is a perfect prerequisite for government of Georgia to demonstrate this ambition to export in the nearest future $3 billion of produce and replace importation by up to $500 million. Government is ready for that. The government is working towards that goal. And this, we would like to have one of the exemplary projects. And I am happy that this meeting has showed such a huge interest of investors. And this will be reflected eventually in the proposals we will receive by the end of this year. We are protecting, safeguarding the interests of investors by legislation, by ever developing the opportunities to bring in more investments, know-how, new technology. We are prepared for that. That's why we've formed IAZ. Mr. Archil will introduce you this project in detail. And this is an intention, fully realistic one. If there are any clarifications on the part of the government, we are ready. Let's put it down, go through, consult, take note that will to make sure that the project is successful. And I wish you good luck. With your permission, we will continue. I will remain with you for some time and will leave you.
Really happy to see all of you. We know some of you from our expression of interest, and there are too many already here, and then we will continue with our presentation. So first of all, let me introduce our team, our panelists who will participate on today's meeting and who will make presentation together with me. And also we will here, and many times we'll ask you to ask as many questions as it possible. All we together, we will answer to your questions. So first of all, here is Ilya Tamarashvili, he's the Director of Rural Development Agency, our mother company, and my deputies are represented here, and our advisory team, who is helping us from very beginning of our project. And here is Mr. Georgi Dadiani, Karel Spitz, Marius Parker, Michael Norf, and Eberhard Brothage.
Thank you.
So hope everybody read our RfP documentation. But in any case, we will make today a short presentation to highlight the most important topics in our RfP. So and we invited all the different investors from our target groups. If some of you remember, during our UI process, we had 4 different industry briefings for our target groups. Today, all of you are invited together. That's a high-end, medium-tech farmers, agri-operators, O&M companies, farmland asset managers, agri-input providers, or other ancillary businesses, training and development providers, sorting, storage, and logistic operators, energy and utility investors and operators. All of you are invited all together in the interest of full transparency and better sharing of information and discussion we would like to have with you. So one more time, we will ask you to prepare questions during the presentation, and after the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. So I will start with the slide. It's a good time to invest in Georgia. So it's why you should have to invest in Georgia. The people are many times asking me because so many places where to invest, and why is Georgia so attractive. So we have a strategically located location. We are in a crossroad of Europe and Asia, and from behind the history, we are part of the Silk Road that's well known, and so we are like a good logistical location. So we are the 7th easiest country to do business with the World Bank ranking for doing business report for 2020. That's a 3rd least tax burden country with a 9.9 total tax rate. That's also according to the World Bank ranking. So if you are interested more in details why you should have to invest, you can go and see the Annex A in our annexes, and there is more information about these rankings and the statistics why you should have to invest in Georgia. That's behind of emotional part. So that's the Imereti region. They are our project sites location. You see here on the map, that's in Imereti, in the very middle of Georgia. That's the west part of the Georgia. And here is a municipality, Matsaltubo and Baghdadi municipalities where our lands are located. So the Imereti region is very, has a long history of farming. But to go back to Soviet time, that's a time when the first greenhouses started, the local population started building first greenhouses, which operated even from Soviet time because of mild climate and climatical conditions, and they sell their products all around the Soviet Union. And recently, the UNIDO conducted a study just for the Khaltubo municipality, and they identified more than 3,000 small greenhouses just in Khaltubo municipality, and more than 5,000 farmers are operating this greenhouse and involved in this greenhouse business. They already recognize this community as a greenhouse cluster. And Imereti Agro Zone as an LLC also considered as a cluster developing organization. So on the picture here, you see all these villages which are just in 15 minutes from our sites. As I told you, our production sites also have very good location. We are very close to Kutaisi Airport. It's just 3 kilometers from our Khaltubo site. We are very close to main road and seaports as well. You see here on the picture. But it's not only logistic. It's, as I told you, that's a favorable climatical conditions, which ensures energy efficiency, because during winter time you need less heating and during summertime you need less cooling. So that's because of climate, it's very energy efficient. So that's natural gas and high voltage electricity sources according to needs of investors. So there's a lot of lands which are empty or they are not used properly in Georgia. But the problem is that many of them do not have the access roads, and they do not have an access to enough energy and the natural gas capacities. And here what we are offering, that's a full access to this all energy resources. So, and again, back to land conditions, that's a very favorable land because it's really flat. And you can see also in our annexes and in our data room, there is a full investigations of geological and engineering part of our soil and characteristics. So, as I told you, and Deputy Minister also has mentioned, we are developing our project since 2 years. So a lot of work has done. We made a good feasibility study. We made the expression of interest last spring. So all this information give us possibility to announce a formal request for proposal. So stage with the offer for 32 hectares of agricultural land situated in Tsaltubo. So on the picture here, sorry. On the picture here, you see our Tsaltubo land plot. And according to our concept, the development is divided in 3 phases. So that's first phase. Now we are offering for selling or leasing the land plots which are fully with full infrastructure. Here you see also the prices for this land plots. That's for high and medium tech greenhouses, it's almost 78 lari, and for low tech greenhouses, it's almost 34 lari. There is also possibility to lease the land according to the plot value, reflecting all the financial indexes. So now I would like to pass the word to our member of our advisor team, Mr. Georgi Dadiani.
Thank you, Archil. Let me take the slide, but I will switch off my video with your permission because it makes a little bit of reflections, you know. First of all, we are discussing Tsaltubo landlord development phases, and these phases mainly reflect development of the infrastructure at Tsaltubo land plot. Let me address 3 different phases given in 5 years of development. The first phase is to be considered in 2022 and in 2023. As you saw in the previous slide, 32 hectares have been applied to the development of phase 1 in 2022 and in 2023. And it considers the full development of the access roads, it considers the land leveling or certain conditions applicable to the greenhouses, it's 4.5 degrees. I mean, internal roads, internal infrastructure, all the utility infrastructure that includes natural gas supply pipelines, that includes water supply pipelines, electricity supply, high voltage, low, middle voltage, and low voltage as well for the security reasons. indoor lighting activities, all to be considered in 2022 and in 2023. That's why the sales of the land plots are considered only for the 32 hectares in the beginning, with the condition that follows in the different slides. Thank you, Archie. We'll go to the timeline. That's the timeline and the milestones given in the RfP document as well. The way I've told you, we're considering 2022 and 2023 for the first phase development and the full detailed project engineering studies for the total of the land plots. That's the idea, in order to prepare every phase from the very beginning and have a full understanding on the scope of works that we have, predefined in our BOQs and the business plan documentation supplied to ES. Thank you, Arjo. Coming out of the requirements established for the phase 1 of the project development in 2022 and 2023, ES has announced with this RfP public announcement sales of 32 hectares of land plots from the 220 owned, in fact, and have put out on sales the whole territory, divided mainly in 2 technologies. It's low for the land plots for the low technology and the land plots for the middle and high technology developments, having the different sales prices established by the third party who has valued the land plots with the concept of the fair value. So the sales for the land and the lease of the land plots. Certain land plots are considered for lease, and the long-term basis to be, in concrete, be discussed in February after the finalization of the RfP procedure. Thank you, Arjo. One of the main interesting offers that could deliver RfP process itself, and it's considered till the end of December, the way you remember, is the possibility to obtain the land plots with the condition of some kind of favorable payment conditions that come up with the 20% payment, advance payment at the moment of signing the agreement with ES, 30% by 2023, after ES delivers its own obligations on the infrastructure development of the land plots. Then ES could provide 25% payment conditions in 2024 after 1 year of development, and 1 more year could be granted for the last payment of 25 years. So in total, the payment will be considered for 4 years for the land plots that would be desired by the applicants, RfP applicants. The process is, valid only till the end of December. Thank you. Predefined mechanism. I think I should pass the word to Eberhard Brothage, our international financial consultant.
Thank you very much, Goga, and again, my compliments on pronouncing my name. I'm a German, Eberhard Brothage, and I have supported the ES development as a financial advisor since last year. One of the topics that came up during the EOI was the access of foreigners to agricultural land in Georgia. As both Archil and Goga pointed out, all plots offered by ES qualify for sale to foreigners. We have performed extensive research on the applicable laws. New regulations were put in place and processes with predictable outcomes were defined. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first time that English language translations of all laws and regulations are provided in the course of this RfP. And I would like to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to the ministries involved, our legal advisors, BGI, and the entire ES team for facilitating this important step that arose as feedback from the EOI process that we conducted earlier. As a result, the plots offered for sale represent a very special opportunity for foreign investors to acquire competitively priced agricultural land in Georgia, and especially when you combine it with the infrastructure development undertaken by IAS, as pointed out, the access to sufficient electricity, gas, and other resources required, and the integrated service offerings of IAS. By providing this package of a stable, predictable process with an almost predefined outcome in the approval of the purchase of land by foreigners, and the service offerings of IAS and the utilities provided, the IAS allows farmers and investors to focus on operating their agricultural business right from day one, instead of struggling with obtaining approvals and putting all of the infrastructure in place. Next slide, please. As we recognize that the purchase of a plot of a few hectares requires a very substantial capital investment, we also offer land for lease. In such cases where investors or farmers wish to defer the cost of the plot over a longer period of time. During the RfP process, IAS will show utmost flexibility in designing the lease terms, and you see some of the cornerstones stated here on this slide in order to meet the requirements of potential investors and farmers that are interested in the plots. Arthur already said that also the lease plots benefit from all of the infrastructure development that IAS will undertake, benefit from the central services offerings. So the lease rates will be set at a level to allow IAS to achieve a fair, and I would like to underline that, a fair return on the cost of capital attached to the plots and their development. And very much like the special offer made during for the sale of plots, there is also a special offer made during the RfP process. IAS, as a special condition, will allow financial lease terms of up to 25 years during the RfP period only. Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to pass on to my colleague, Michael North. Thank you.
Thank you, Eberhard. Thank you, Archel. Greetings to the participants. To sum up what has been said until now, we have summarized the offer in this table here, which shows you the different phases, how much of the sales are contemplated in each phase, and the RfP process that we are introducing now is limited to phase one, the 32 hectares. Of course, all other lands are also legally possibly to be negotiated and bought and sold or leased, but the initial intention is to concentrate on 32 hectares. The other businesses that we have outlined here that IAS will start developing will be sold separately as businesses. So the RfP process now also is only concentrating on selling lands, not so much on selling the businesses. However, IAS will start developing legally and financially the different businesses that are needed for a successful operation of IAS. That includes the horticultural training and demo center, the collecting logistical center, and the IAS agro energy and utilities. The intention of the government is, IAS itself is a 100% state-owned company, but set up as a private company. And the intention is now to convert the LLC IAS into a joint stock company, so to enable third-party investors also to participate in investing in IAS. Therefore, we believe that farmland asset management companies also banks can participate in the development of EAS directly in the capital, and also participate in the HTDC logistical center and utilities company. In terms of the prices, that has already been mentioned before. The main sales will go for mid-tech and high-tech development at the price of 77.98 laris, which have been established on the basis of the fair value as provided by the third-party valuator. And the low-tech areas will be sold for a price of 33.88 laris. Thank you very much. I pass on back, I think, to Archie.
Thank you, Michael. So when we are preparing the RfP process, so we understand that there is need for some regulatory framework, transparent and well established and well known, that also make easier life of our investors. So all our RfP process is done under the accordance to the relevant laws of Georgia. So that I will describe as some process what will happen after we will finish the submission of the RfP offers. That's on 31 of December, as you know. So after this, we will start negotiations and signing the contractual agreements with our RfP applicants who will win this in our content. So land transfer will be subject of specific investment obligations, non-fulfillment of which may result the transfer of ownership title to agricultural land back to EAS. That's one of the main obligations to investors, that they have to fulfill their obligations and invest in time, as it will be signed in our agreements. So foreign ownership of agricultural land is also possible, as just Eberhard described it, according to also some Georgian laws and orders of minister and relevant documentation. So depending on specific type of activities, investor may be required to obtain various permits or licenses, like, for example, permit for construction or any other licenses, but all these licenses and permits will be, this process will be supported by EAS and the government, and they ensure our investors that there will be no problems in to fulfill regulatory framework from our side, from side of the government of Georgia. So now I would like to pass the word to our advisor, Karel.
Thank you, Eberhard. Thank you, Archie. Sorry. I would like to see the slide, please.
Karel, we see it.
I still don't see it. All right, got it. Well, of course, as already has been stated, that there will be environmental considerations, and of course, EAS will be subject to these rules and laws, and everyone who will settle in the Georgia within the EAS territories, they will be subject to environmental laws, rules, and regulations. As already stated, EAS is going to invest in a lot of technical systems. One of that will also be a central sewage system. So all the plots of land will be connected to this system. And of course, afterwards, the water has to be cleaned, and these services, of course, will be charged to the customers of EAS. Another service is the waste collection by EAS. There are different ways there are different varieties of waste, of course. But if we have the normal waste, there will be a waste collection, and that could be outsourced to a third party, or maybe EAS will do some waste collection they will do by themselves and handle it. If you have organic waste collection, that will also be collected on the premises, and that one could be used for compost production. Also, that could be a way that EAS will organize these services for their clients. Also, of course, there will be other waste like rest materials of fertilizers or rest materials of crop protection. That is not something that can be treated within the EAS premises, and that will be outsourced to third parties outside of EAS, taking care of it. And as we are following with EAS most of the European legislation concerning environmental protection, the global GAP is one of the stipulations that we will follow over there. Also, rainwater coming from all the construction, so from greenhouses, but also from offices or warehouses or whatever, it has to be collected, and that water, of course, can be used for irrigation systems. And it is very important not to disturb the groundwater level in the surrounding territory. Regarding this, of course, most of the high-tech, mid-tech greenhouses, they will grow on hydroponic. It will not be allowed that from this hydroponic water that it will be backwashed and will be flown into the sewer system. The clients themselves, they have to treat this water. It has to be filtered. This could go through reverse osmosis or through carbon filter or whatever needed. But what it is not allowed to put this water back into the ground, of course. And for the heating of the greenhouses, there is another regulatory that we will not use wood or charcoal. This because of the pollution, not only of the air, but also of all the structures that are there. So, as said, the clients of EAS, of course, will be subject to some environmental regulations. Thank you, and I will pass the word back to Arthur.
Thank you, Carl. So here we want to show you that not only the full infrastructure will be developed on our territory, but we are offering to our investors the all kind of governmental services with a single window approach. So on our territory, we will build a service hall where our tenants can get all kind of the governmental and third-party services with a single window approach, which is very important for the operation. So just to describe the services you will obtain here, that's like a custom services, export and import declarations. It can be a certificate. There's a phytosanitary certification, consultation, legal and financial, and which is very important. Also, the technology and agricultural consultations member of cluster can obtain here. They will get these services from the third parties as well, like international certification and standardization or the laboratory services. So all these services will be available not only for our tenants, but also for a wide community around our production sites, as it was described by UNIDO study. So now again, I would like to pass the word to Georgi Dadiani. Please, Georgi.
Thank you, Archel. I was really busy trying to answer, the big questionnaire one of the applicants have, but I will do it later, It's in Georgian, I was trying to do it. So let me introduce Horticultural Training and Demo Center. And I think I will cover the question also asked, on the land valuation and price that has been seen. The question comes from Ani Zurabishvili, and she asks that why it's considered an RfP. Should it be bought out or something? What's happening with HTDC land plot? No. In fact, HTDC land plot is considered by IAS from the total land plot owned by IAS in Tsaltovo municipality. IAS is devoting the land plot and it has its own price, it has its own value. That's what we have been discussing. HTDC will have the value of the land plot delivered from IAS. Also, HTDC will have the value of the building and construction works that IAS will deliver to it, up to getting up to, the way I do remember, it was up to 5.8 million or even more laris, It makes the Horticultural Training Demo Center as an initiative really attractive for different fundraising possibilities, programs from the development agencies that could support horticultural training and demo center facility development. Now that's about the question, asked by Mrs. Ani, but let me introduce Horticultural Training Demo Center as the priority project of IAS. Why it's so important? What's priority-wise importance in the horticultural training and demo center development? First of all, it is important because it is considered for already existing up to 77 hectares of low-tech greenhouses available in the range of 35 kilometers from the horticultural training and demo center itself. It is considered for more than 3,000 greenhouse facilities that produce up to 70% of herbs in Georgia. It is considered for up to 5,000 farmers that would like to reconstruct and redevelop their greenhouses to benefit from IAS by being introduced supposedly as members of Horticultural Training Demo Center, who will get access to education, vocational education, first of all, access to different technologies, because Horticultural Training and Demo Center is inviting, with this request for proposal, also agri-input companies, international-wise, big-wise, trying to attract them and invite them to place their demonstration facilities on the site and introduce them to these farmers, first of all. Also, of course, with the perspective of development of the rest 220 hectares of land plot with middle and high technologies that, we're also introducing to the market, right? So that's why the importance of Horticultural Training Demo Center is, so big for the state and for IAS development itself. And it is considered, as I've already mentioned, the first target group. Number one is the farmers already existent around Horticultural Training Demo Center. For the international agri-input companies to be set up in the region for conducting sales, not only for these 75 hectares or additional 220 hectares, but also regional wise. We're talking about the Caucasian regional state-wise. Azerbaijan needs the same service to be, supported. Armenia needs the same service, not talking about other countries surrounding Georgia. In that sense, Georgia, we think, is one of the important places to have this type of high qualified horticultural training demo center. And the last point is the third target group, and one of the most important as well, of course, are the educational centers of Georgia, universities, vocational educational centers of Georgia, Ministry of Education of Georgia that highly supports development of vocational training centers and highly supports the project in that sense. And also international educational centers. We're really happy that we have somehow attracted different interests from the matchmaking processes that has been conducted with the Dutch embassy. And hopefully we will find some interest during the RfP process to support EAS in, developing horticultural training and demo center in Georgia. Thank you. I think we should go to another EAS initiative, also priority-wise really high, and to be started also developing from March 2022, and it's the collecting logistical center. The collecting logistical center is also important and considers, first of all, collecting the produce of these 77 hectare of greenhouse, and the private existing farmers around. And we know that in that region, we have herbs, we have vegetables as a produce, we have berries as a produce, we have flowers as a produce, really small quantities, but we have them. So we would consider to promote also production-wise all these, products, right? So we're considering, EAS is considering to develop the collecting logistical center. The capacities you see on the screen, it's given with the following time frame: to set up a legal entity, a joint stock company in March 2022, to try to attract and invite the international O&M company who could support in business plan developing, business model developing of the logistical center, and in the future operating the logistical center. So that's what we're after. This EAS is after it during this request for proposal, having the full understanding that we face certain really high interest. It's not certain, but it's really high interest from the local berry producers to have this type of collecting logistical facility available in the region, because we have a lot of produce of berries and we expect more by 2023, really much. So the idea of creating, the logistical center, with the berry, section in it considered, is really looks attractive to all the parties. So the logistical center is to be developed as a joint stock company with an initiative to attract the public money and as well, like other joint stock companies that EAS is, considering to develop. Can we move further, please? One of the most profitable, let me say, and with a high turnover joint stock companies that EAS is considering to develop is EAS Agro Energy and Utilities joint stock company, as it has been also already declared that the infrastructure development that EAS considers for its production sites, 220 hectares in total, considers the whole network for the electricity, natural gas pipelines, water supply systems. This is what EAS is doing as the part of its investment plan, in 2022 and in 2023. So EAS has the full capability to distribute the energy required to the potential tenants. That's why coming out of the possibilities also required in change, while the changes in the Georgian legislation have been applied in August 2021, EAS can purchase the needed energy on the market and distribute it on its own within the circled zone of the cluster. So EAS intends to set up the joint stock company, also with the intention to sell it to the public or invite interested, private investors to, invest in the joint stock company and deliver, the energy supply on its own to its potential tenants. You can see the time frame below, also considered to be legal-wise established in 2022 and to be operational somewhere in 2023. And the Baghdadi land plot development phases, we have touched the issue previously on the Tzaltubu land plot development. We should understand that, yes, the concrete plan of development is in place, but we will reconsider, we are considering it as preliminary, we will reconsider coming out of the requirements and the demands that we will see from the ongoing RfP process, certain stages. But Baghdadi land plot at this moment in time is considered to be developed from 2024, considering its development in the phase 2 and in the phase 3 of the project development. Thank you, Archel. Let me pass the word to Eberhard, the way I do remember, right?
Absolutely. As the former banker on the team and financial advisor, I would like to start with an old saying, money makes the world go around. EAS and we as the project advisors are aware that some of the offered opportunities represent major investments. Hence, it has been our focus already since the start of the project last year to fully brief all development agencies, international financial institutions, and local banks of the EAS project. Also, high-level business plans have been developed with the decades-long experience of our agricultural and financial advisors, supporting the sustainability of the businesses that may invest in the EAS. These business plans for farmers operating in the greenhouse cluster development show that by benefiting from the scientific growing methods that we will train at the Horticultural Training and Demo Center, farmers can achieve returns that are substantially higher than what is now achieved in Georgia. Something that plays right into the hands of the development agenda of the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Agriculture to improve and enhance agriculture in Georgia. The EAS team, Archel and his team, supported by the project advisors, will be pleased to share further details of these contacts with you following the closure of the RfP, allowing you to easily approach banks, international financial institutions, and potentially benefit from development agency support. Thank you very much, and I would like to pass back to Archel.
Thank you, gentlemen. And the last slide of our presentation in respect of EAS itself. So that you know that EAS was founded by the Agricultural Development Agency in 2017 as a private company, LLC, and till now we are operating as a private company. So here we are representing our vision, how we see the legal and financial structure of EAS future. That was already partly described, that we will create a separate entity as an NNLE, that's an HTDC, which is very important part of our activities at FIX, that it's a main pillar of our success. So we will create a separately collecting logistical center also as a joint stock company, and we will invite the local society, first of all, to buy the shares in this company and to grow with the local community together. Also, we are considering to restructure the LLC Imereti Agro Zone to the joint stock company. This gives us possibility to raise money as well. And the last but not least, that's agro energy utility joint stock company, which was also described. So all this structure gives us possibility and providing us access to a different level of fundraising and equity financing and debt fundraising and so on. That's how we see our future legal and financial structure. So thank you one more time to all our participants who presented our presentation. And I would like to finish it and ask you, dear investors and interested parties, to ask any kind of questions, and together with our experts, we will answer to your all your questions. Please, I will pass the word back to Leon, to our moderator, and waiting the questions.
Mr. Archil,
Thank you.
Please, in order to ask the question, please virtually raise your hand. It's below on your screen, the button, and raise your hand, and please start the mic on and ask the question. You are welcome. Floor is yours. Meanwhile, Mr. Alchir, we have a couple questions came through our site, so I will ask later on, but I see Georgi Dadiani has raised his hand, so please.
Let me suggest before, some other questions come, to respond to Mrs. Ani Zubashvili in the chat box. Let me give her detailed response with your permission.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. So the first question, it reflects again to the land valuation for the HTDC, why it's needed. The response comes up that Imereti Agro Zone will establish, and it's happening now by the end of November, will establish the non-profit, non-commercial legal entity, NNLE, and deliver its owned land plot at the value of 77.8 laris per square meter on its balance sheet. Plus, IAS will construct and deliver the building at the value of up to 5 million. The second question from Mrs. Ani, Miss Ani comes out like about the total budget of the HTDC. We have an understanding of the total, Mrs. Ani, we have the understanding of the total budget of HTDC. We have inputted the budget in our, final report till now, and to the state and to IAS. It has been considered, and IAS has its own business plan, and one of the budget points is HTDC. We understand the costs, but we are, attracting other funds for different type of programs that HTDC should conduct, different curriculums that they should offer, and on the vocational trainings. It's an ongoing process. The third question comes up about the volume of the land plot and the square meters assigned for the HTDC, and it's up to 2 hectares of land plot, from which 1.5 hectares have been assigned for different production facilities of the agri-input companies that would like to demonstrate, their products at HTDC and conduct different ongoing trainings during the production. All the rest is assigned for the classrooms and for the facilities needed to develop the HTDC itself. Reflecting the possibilities of, conducting services through HTDC on the website through the website platform. Yes, we're considering the possibility. In general, HTDC is considered to be a platform, you know, in itself for the agri-input companies, for the agri-service provider companies, for the agri-O&M companies, international and locally presented, in order to provide services to the farmers. Now, that's our goal and aim, and to supply the farmers with the knowledge and technologies that they would like to have an access to, and the possibilities to get trained, you know, at least vocationally, where I mean, we consider that HTDC will help them to raise their productivity, you know, really high. Then the question comes out of, I mean, if there are not enough, I mean, greenhouses, demand on the greenhouse development, you know, on the land plot, what are you considering to do? That's why we are considering certain time frame. We are considering, in fact, 6-year project development, 5-year project development. It's like 2-year for 32 hectares, then 2-year development, I mean, for the following 52, the way I do remember, and whatever is left in the phase 3. That's why our project, we understand that it's difficult to attract investors. We understand that it will be sort of a task to come up with the Georgians, you know, who would develop high-tech and middle-tech greenhouses, you know, but it's a challenge, we agree. So the 7th question, how can we, I mean, supply our interest, you know, I mean, in order to participate in the RfP process? It's through the website by filling up the RfP forms. It's easily, if you go for the horticultural training and demo center, you can write down your concrete interest, what you would like to, how could you like to be supportive to the development of HTDC? Would you like to be a member? Would you like, I mean, to develop something? What kind of knowledge? That's the idea. Thank you. And there is no possibility to, I mean, rent out the land plots. There is another question from Tekla Gurgenidze, rent out the plant, but it's a possibility to contribute to HTDC as a member. And that's how you obtain the land plot as well, but you cannot lease it out. Thank you.
Okay, Ziad Uznadze raised hand. Ziad, please.
გამარჯობათ.
მოგესალმებით.
შეიძლება ქართულად დავსვა კითხვა?
May I pose a question in Georgian? Of course, and the translator will translate it to English. Thank you very much. I am Ziad Uznadze, Agro Zone company. Our area is dairy production, processing, packaging, marketing. Very interesting is our land plot is adjacent to your Baghdadi land plot. In about 1 kilometer, we have an enterprise, about 3,000 square meters enterprise, where we are cooling, processing. It depends on the temperature, on the client desire, and the marketing. Our interest is very much in this logistics center. In fact, it seems we work as a logistics center for Imereti region. Khaltubo, Baghdadi are covered, but there is only for the next season, we are expecting even we will include Guria and Samegrelo covering from Khaltubo. How interesting can be our collaboration in this regard for blueberries specifically, in terms of logistical center development? Thank you very much, Mr. Ziad. I will respond in Georgian, and our international attendees will hear the interpreters with. We know about your location, about your activities. We welcome all your initiatives. What is important? Let's see. Our task is not to do business ourselves, even in the logistics center. Our objective is to create opportunities for business development. We do welcome all your initiatives, what you do. Very interesting. This platform we are creating, inviting private businesses to come and develop, is fully in accord with what you do. We do consider this possibility. If you believe that this collaboration is possible, and there is a great probability it is possible, you know this RFP process is public, open, and transparent fully. Correct? Most correct would be for you to come up with your proposals in this RFP process. We will consider together with you, and then we can engage in talks what kind of collaboration this may be in future. That's how I see this process, not only in your case, but in every other case or potential partners. Very interesting for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, gentlemen, I cannot believe that nobody has a questions and nobody needs some clarifications. So we are waiting. Please do not hesitate to ask any question.
Please be active, dear friends. Be active.
Michael raised his hand. Michael?
Yes, thank you very much. And I just wanted to make an add-on comment. You hear me?
Yes, yes, please,
okay.
Mike.
So, an add-on comment to our previous Zviet, the logistical center that we are contemplating is just one part of the potential of the logistical center. And what we understand from this RFP process already is that there are interested international logistical companies that would like to find a way to invest into EAS. And of course, we would like to invite you to a matchmaking with those international investors or operators to find out the proper basis of collaboration. And that is the role that EAS has at this moment in time in particular. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Goga Kwaratskelia, greetings. My Fazenda, I might have a question. Flexible contract possibility. What if we do not take, in 1 month we take 5 hectares, then expand it? Would there be a chance for a flexible contract? And would it be possible if we present RFP? Let me respond. As you know, we have a structural form presented, and you know the process is transparent and correct in its proceeding. We will be announcing requests for proposals at this stage. Within the frame of this RFP, you can submit proposal for the volume you desire. You know that we have flexible approach. We will engage in talks. We will conclude a contract. You should be expecting for the windows, as we call them, when there is the next stage of RFPs. Let's say if you take 10 hectares now, sign contract and process it in 10 years, that can be a subject for consideration and negotiation. What the approach we have currently, the land plot purchased or leased by the investor, it should be developed within 2 years. This time is needed to construct a high-tech or mid-tech greenhouse. But if you have this opportunity, why not? We can consider any proposal is a subject for consideration. Approach you find most acceptable, please address us. We will be following the framework and rules have been announced, and we will be operating within those terms, but we'll be considering all our proposals, and that will be subject for individual consideration with all investors. Another question: financial indexes will be used for leasing rate. What you have in mind? What can be this lease rate that you could offer? I'd like to ask our expert, Eberhard, are you in a position to answer this question, please?
Thank you very much for the question. As you noted from the RfP document, there is a specific price for the plots of lands for purchase, but no lease rate set at this point in time. We wanted to leave it flexible because we were not entirely certain of the interest of farmers to lease these plots. Based on the cost of capital to IAS and the requirements of the Ministry of Finance and achieving a certain return on the capital expenditure that IAS incurs for developing the infrastructure, and that is to some extent reflected in the purchase price, a lease rate will be set. But it will also depend on the duration of the lease, whether it is a short-dated lease or 29-year lease or a 49-year lease, whether the lease involves the transfer of the title at the end of the lease, etc., etc. So I'm afraid at this point in time, I cannot give you like a figure. It will be 10 lari per square meter or 5 lari or 15 lari. This will need to be negotiated, but take as a yardstick, take the expectation of the Ministry of Finance in respect of achieving a positive return of all state-funded projects. Take that as a guideline for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Eberhard.
Archel, if I may, there is one other question in the chat.
Please.
From Ani Subiliani in English language. Where can I find financial projections? And alternatively, the question whether it is the investor's responsibility to separately prepare business plans for themselves, perform market studies, etc. With your permission, I would like to briefly respond to that. Yes. As a registered participant in the RfP, you have access to a very wide range of documents that were provided during the feasibility study and the EOI process and also the RfP. These documents will provide you with access to market data. Archel already said geological data in terms of the quality of the soil. We have said that there will be access to water, electricity, gas, etc. at competitive prices. We have conducted high-level business plans in order to confirm the viability of these investments in the greenhouse cluster development. But we would ask investors to prepare their own calculations because we are not able to predetermine the capital expenditure and operating cost of each individual investor. That we would like to leave to yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eberhard.
Thank you, Eberhard. We have a question from Ali. What's the procedure for the international investors? Archil.
So, as Eberhard described in our presentation, there is a certain regulatory framework for foreign investors to obtain the land. So, as an investor, you also have to establish a company here in Georgia. and apply with the company, first of all. That's a first rule. Then we will come to our final negotiation and sign our agreement. You have to submit the investment plan to the land management agency. There's a special agency here in Georgia. So land management agency has the right to discuss your investment plan together with the Ministry of Agriculture. And then for every case, the government of Georgia will issue the specific order, giving the investor right to obtain legally the agricultural land. That's the procedure, how it works. If I covered your question, and if it means this framework about the obtaining the land plot. Otherwise, all other investors in other terms, they're all the same. Georgians and foreign investors, they have the same obligation, same rules, so no difference. Thank you.
Archie, with your permission, may I make an add-on comment?
Sure, please, Mikhail.
The foreigners will have to submit this investment plan, but the whole procedure has a limited time frame from the side of the government to accept or reject such a plan. And this, we understand, will be obviously a plan coming from agricultural professionals and will be discussed with the ministry on a common basis and not and a friendly basis, so to speak. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mikhail. Any other questions? Yeah.
Organizational comments we've heard here regarding the project. Would you please specify what was the engagement of banks? As I know, phase 1 is completed, you are launching the phase 2 next year. What was the engagement of the banks? How they provided this to their clients? Applications were provided individually. Could you please provide additional information on that? With great pleasure. Bank engagement is very important in this process. With banks, we've had negotiations. First of all, banks to fund the future tenants or the businesses. Up to 3,000 small farms are represented in the Skaltovo municipality area. We open a huge area for the banks to address the new segment, fund these businesses. Second, where the banks can participate if they are interested within RfP to invest in IES. DOG has a number of companies, investment companies, that can directly participate and work in the years. And in conclusion, I will tell you, we are planning to form JSCs. At least we try to participate in this capital market development, in which bank engagement will be very significant. And at the end, on our territory, up to 100 different businesses will be represented. Today, there are some 3,000 functioning small businesses. Not all of them are legally registered, operating within the so-called white business frame. We will be providing offices. You can rent spaces and service or provide services to your future clients and this ancillary business as well. Realistically, if our client is interested in greenhouse development, they should first submit an application to ES, then financially we will support them, and that's how jointly we will fund the project. Yes, they should first come to you. You should confirm whether they have funds or not, and only after that they should submit proposals. We will consider. This is
ამ შემთხვევაში თქვენ უკვე ვალდებულებით მოლაპარაკებებში შევდივართ და ყველა განაცხადს განვიხილავთ როგორ უკვე ვალდებულებით ნაწილს, რომელიც შემდეგ უკვე ჩვენ შორის არსებულ ხელშეკრულებაში გადავა.
დიდი მადლობა.
მადლობთ. Okay, any other
ბატონო შალომაძე ახელი თუ შეიძლება ბატონო შალო.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I have a question, if I may ask. Yes, we're listening to you. The floor is yours. Yes, we can hear you, sir. We can. Can you hear me, sir? Yes, we can. So I would like to know, I am the representative of the agro ornament. We are building greenhouses. We are building polycarbonate greenhouses. And I would like to know, this company is located in Kutaisi, Georgia. It's Imereti where this project is being implemented. I would like to know what is this certain project is offering to the companies of our type. That is my question. Yes, of course, we're going to answer your question. Thank you very much. I'm going to explain. Firstly, we are not building greenhouses. I would like to know we're not building any type of greenhouses. As I told you, we are a platform where we invite businesses to cooperate. We are an opportunity so you can sell your services to the cluster members located in the region or to the new investors who are going to be express their will to create greenhouses in Georgia. We give you an opportunity to develop your business. This is an opportunity for private businesses to give opportunity for them to build businesses, and so more businesses can use the above mentioned opportunities. I understand. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Dearest friends, do you have any questions? Mr. Archil, the question that Mr. Shalva asked, there's a similar question. So, EPC contractor wants to know how should be they included in our list and what type of guarantees do they have that they're going to get a building permit to build a high-tech and mid-tech greenhouse. Okay, for APC contractors, as Mr. Georgi Dadiani has explained, the first opportunity and the most interesting opportunity is an HDDC in our participation in our training center, horticultural training and demonstration center. And other than that, we have mentioned, we are not going to build greenhouses. And in our platform, they're going to be able to register, and we're going to offer to our future tenants and the members of the cluster, we're going to offer the services. First, I would like to advise them that in any case, they should participate in the work of horticultural training and demonstration center, because that's the place where the technologies are going to be sold, where the farmers are going to meet each other, and different type of providers, consultation service providers, agro material, agri-input companies, or maybe EPC services, which means key solutions when it comes to creation of greenhouses. So apply and participate in the work of Horticultural Training and Demonstration Center. Thank you very much, Mr. Archo. As I can see, everything was clear to our participants, and we hope that you have more questions.
Everything is clear in our presentation and in our RfP process, but we are still waiting some questions.
Mr. Levan, do we have questions in the chat box, the questions that we haven't answered? If there are questions, we can read the chat questions and answer them. If no, well, yes, Mr. Archil, I'm going to get back at you in a moment. There is a question. Please describe, what do you mean by mid-tech, high-tech, and low-tech enterprises? Mr. Georgi Tatiani, are you going to answer this question?
Yeah, I think that I've responded it in brief in the chat as well.
Please answer in Georgian, and it is going to be translated for our foreign guests. I wrote it in the chat box. I wrote it in the chat box. I can see differentiation of the technologies based, for example, in case of tomatoes, it is based on the harvesting level. For example, we take into consideration the height of the ceiling. What do they have? Irrigation systems? Do they have climate zones? Do they have different methodologies applied? I have written it in the chat box. These types of greenhouses and management of the above mentioned greenhouses, when the horticultural demo center, training center was described and mentioned. So we have an availability for people who have bachelor's degree, which is mid-technology, which covers the low throughput. And for example, 35 kilograms on 1 square meter during the year. So the greenhouses that exist currently, for example, are owned by 5,000 farmers. So when it comes to harvesting, it is 3 to 5 kilograms per 1 square meter. Thank you very much. I think that we have answered all of the questions. There are no questions in the chat box. So consultation services consultation services, this is activity that is going to be included in our center, included in our horticultural training and demonstration center. We are going to have farmers, consultation businesses, technological businesses, and agri-input companies. And this is going to be a platform where businesses are going to meet, and we're going to help them very actively so these businesses can do work together. So this is our goal. So capacity building. We are not planning to produce a private business. As a state organization, our goal is to build capacities for different types of business so you can grow together, because there is a demand, there is service, and we're going to make sure that we realize the demand and we act according to the demand. So we support you, we help you, we're going to meet with all of the stakeholders, and we have an opportunity to make sure that both you and the farmers work as efficiently as possible and develop businesses together.
Okay. Participants, any other questions? If not, we already more than 1:05. Yeah, it's almost 2 hours. It's our meeting. We will wait another couple of minutes, and if we will not see any further questions, then we will finish our today's industry briefing.
Our dearest friends, if you don't have any questions, we're going to wait for several more minutes in case you have anything to ask. And if not, we're going to wrap up and finish our meeting.
Okay, I think
there are no questions. I'm going to tell our investors, in order to cooperate with us, you need to go to your website and you need to fill in the RfP form and send it to the address indicated. I deeply hope that every person that attended today, you are going to find your niche where you're going to cooperate with Imereti Agro Zone. As Mr. Levan has mentioned, in order to participate in the RfP process, you need to go on our website, and you're going to have annexes available for registration. You're going to fill in the information about your company. You're going to sign the confidentiality agreement, and this is going to give you an opportunity, as soon as we get the document signed by you, we're going to give you access to our database, where you're going to have information about technical issues and additional information as well that we have gathered during 2 years regarding the project. You're going to have access to the above mentioned documentations, and you're going to you have to fill in the Annex 1, and the Annex 2 is your offer. So what are you going to offer us in the framework of the RfP process? As I have mentioned, the capacities are great. And first and foremost, it is, if you're interested to purchase the land plot on the territory of Imereti Agro Zone, or for example, to participate in the functioning of the training and demonstration center. So, or you need to participate in the collecting logistical demonstration center. So at this stage, this is it. These are our RfP demands. So maybe you can express the will to participate in the EAS management if you're interested. We also invite the international operator companies of the logistics centers and all of the companies who are going to be able to manage this process. I would like to extend my appreciation to all of you.
Thank you to our advisor team. And if someone wants to make a final words, please, the room is open. Please.
And let me say thank you very much.
I'm going to add one more thing. When we speak about clients, what should we do to ensure that clients are interested? Does the bank fill in the information? So you, for example, are interested to cooperate with us, you need to provide us with information. As I have mentioned, you have an opportunity to rent an office or participate. Well, I don't mean in this direction. So for example, so our personal clients, do we need to do anything? No, 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 nothing, nothing. Okay, that's clear.
Eberhard?
Well, thank you very much, Arthur. Let me say thank you very much for your interest. It was a very interesting meeting. Thank you for your questions. I hope we were able to answer all of them. Please keep in mind, we would like you to register by the 6th of December to give us some days to approve you, and then for you to have time to fill in the RfP by the 31st of December. But throughout the entire RfP process, we will be keen to receive your additional questions through the FAQ process that we described, and we will then publish the answers on our website. So please, if you have any further questions, looking through the documents, please send us the questions by email as shown in the RfP document, and we will respond to them as we have today. Thank you very much again for your interest, and Arthur, floor back to you.
Okay, thank you, Eberhard. So, Michael, would you like to add something?
Well, I think we have been discussing extensively the opportunities that exist at IAS. I think we are interested in finding as many tenants as possible, and we will do everything we can to enable investments of these tenants, and also participate in their efforts to set up business plans on their own in order to be successful investors in agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, room is still open if somebody wants to say something. Ani Sabulian is raised her hand. Please, Ani. Ismet Ani, მოგესალმებით.
Greetings, Ani. Ani, we cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry. No, can you hear me now? Okay, so it's not the question. Basically, I just wanted to thank you for inviting us and for this great meeting, actually. And basically, I wrote in comments, but still, I wanted to just say, in case investors are really interested in this project, and I think they should, because it's a huge opportunity here. Basically, as I represent EY consulting firm, we would be very happy to work with you and to further do the feasibility study to understand for each project for investors, basically to prepare business plans and understand whether there is actual great opportunity for you. So that's basically what I wanted to say, and thank you very much again for this great meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Ani.
Thank you.
Georgi?
I represent Ernst & Young, EY, Georgian office. That's audit and consulting firm representing big 4 companies worldwide.
Thank you, Ani. Thank you, Ani. And we are waiting
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
proposal as well. So you can write in your proposal that you are ready for the cooperation with IAZ. That's also offer. And we will do that.
Thank you. Thank you. I will write you as well via email, Georgi. Thanks.
If you allow me as an add-on, yes, we would propose that you also participate in the HTDC development by offering your services on that platform. And that could be your submission to the RfP in our case here. Yeah, thank you.
Sure, sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Will do.
Georgi, we are listening to you.
Yep. Just I would like to thank Ani as well. I have written in her personal message, my mail, and please feel free to write to us for any questions or clarifications. All institutions like Ernst & Young are welcome to participate. We appreciate consultancy services to be provided to ES and to different other entities. Thank you.
Okay. So I think we're done. Thank you to everybody for your interest and for your participation. I
would like to extend my appreciation. We are waiting for your applications. We're waiting for your offers that you should send to us. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.